Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're cracking open a really fascinating story about brewing, big data, and artificial intelligence. We're going to break down how a team of scientists are using AI to understand, predict, and even improve the flavor of beer. I mean, just think about that for a second. What if an algorithm could actually design the perfect beer? It sounds a little like science fiction, right? A machine that understands our taste buds better than we do, that could just write out the exact chemical formula for a world-class brew.
Well, guess what? It's not science fiction anymore. A team of researchers recently did just that. They actually trained an AIs to be a kind of digital brewmaster, and we're about to get into exactly how they pulled it off.
Okay, so first things first, we have to understand the core problem here. Why is it so incredibly hard to look at the chemical makeup of a food and predict whether we're actually going to like it? The answer is, well, it's really complicated. You see, flavor isn't just a simple checklist. It's more like a giant, chaotic symphony of hundreds of different molecules. Some of them work together and boost each other's effects. That's synergy. But others actually cancel each other out. That's antagonism. It's this wild, non-linear dance that makes taste so difficult to predict. And this is not a new challenge. For decades, this has been one of the holy grails of food science. Trying to build a model that could look at a chemical report and just say, yep, people are going to love this, that's been a mostly impossible goal. Until now. So, to solve a problem this massive, you need a truly massive amount of data. You've got to give the machine enough raw material so it can start to find all those subtle patterns that are totally invisible to us. So to build their model, the team started out by analyzing 250 different commercial beers. And they covered all the bases, 22 different styles, from super light lagers to really dark stouts, a huge range of flavors. And for every single one of those 250 beers, they did this incredibly deep chemical analysis, measuring 226 different properties. We're talking everything from the big stuff like alcohol content, all the way down to hundreds of tiny specific flavor compounds. But here's the really clever part. To get the human side of the equation, they scraped and analyzed over 180,000 online reviews from the website Rate Beer. This gave them this massive data set on what actual people out in the real world really enjoyed. So this is the key to the whole thing. It was a three-pronged attack. You've got the hard, objective chemistry data. You've got the nuanced senses of a trained expert panel. And you've got the giant democratic voice of the public. All three of these data streams were fed right into the AI. All right, so you've got this absolute mountain of data, the chemistry, the expert notes, the public scores. How in the world do you turn that into something that can actually predict taste? Well, you train some machine learning models. And this is really where the modern approach shines. Traditional statistics would just get lost in all this complexity. It really struggles with those synergistic flavor interactions we talked about. But machine learning? It is built to find these kinds of hidden, complex patterns in giant data sets. The researchers actually tested 10 different machine learning models to see which one was best. And the champion, the one that came out on top, was a model called gradient boosting. Get this, it proved it could accurately predict a beer's final score based only on its chemical fingerprint. That's it. Now this is where it gets really fun. Once the AI is trained, you can basically ask it, okay, so what really matters? What are the key ingredients that make people love a beer? And the answers? They were definitely not what you'd expect. The AI pointed to a few key chemicals that really drive a high score. Some made sense, like alcohol and protein levels, which affect a beer's body and mouthfeel. But it also flagged things like ethyl acetate, which gives a fruity flavor, and lactic acid as being super important predictors of a winning beer. But here's the craziest part. The AI found that some compounds that brewers usually think of as off flavors, things that are signs of a bad beer, actually contributed positively to a beer's score, but only when they were present in just the right amount and in the right context. It just goes to show you, flavor is all about balance, not just good versus bad. So the researchers didn't just stop with a cool predictive model. No. They decided to put their AI's newfound knowledge to the ultimate test. They asked, could we use these insights to take a beer that already exists and actually make it better? And the experiment they came up with was just beautiful in its simplicity. They took a regular commercial beer, created a little flavor cocktail based on the AI's top recommendations, and added it. Then, they gave both the original and the new AI-improved version to their expert panel for a blind taste test. And the results? It was a massive success. The expert panel, who had no idea which beer was which, gave a significantly higher score to the version that had been tweaked by the AI. The machine's recipe, it actually worked. And they didn't stop there. They did the same thing with a non-alcoholic beer, which, as you may know, is notoriously tough to make taste good. And again, by adding an AI-recommended flavor cocktail, they managed to boost its appreciation score significantly. This could be a huge deal for making better-tasting low and no-alcohol drinks. So when you zoom out, you realize this is about way more than just beer. This study is a major milestone, a proof of concept for a whole new field you could call computer-aided food engineering. We are talking about a future where algorithms help us design food that's healthier, more sustainable, and yes, even more delicious, all from the molecular level up. Which leaves us with one final, really tantalizing question to think about. We've seen AI master chess and Go. We've seen it create incredible art. Now it's starting to master our sense of taste. So if it can crack the code for a better beer today, what might it be cooking up for our dinner plates tomorrow?